We're now live.
Okay.
All right.
Question?
Mind, body, spirit, complex. What's the question?
We were just talking about how yoga is about yoking of the mind, body, and spirit, and it just hit me that, okay, mind and spirit are two separate things.
Right.
And you have that voice inside of your head that you kind of have this inner dialogue with.
Right.
Which
And the voice inside of your head, the mental aspect, the mind part of it, what kind of dialogue can that be?
negative, yeah, not necessarily true.
And does your spirit talk to you that way?
No.
No. So do you see a difference between the mind and the spirit?
But then where's the spirit? What is the spirit? Can you have that inner dialogue? Like where is it?
So I think this goes back to us talking about the truth of who you are. And the truth of who you are naturally feels good and it's in resonance with you. The mind, I believe, has a lot to do with the story, the limiting beliefs, the traumas that are clouding at times the truth of who you actually are. So the spirit, your innermost spirit, doesn't lie to you. It doesn't give you limiting beliefs. It lines you up with your authenticity. Your mind, remember we talked the other day about when you don't address something right away and you store it in your mind, it can then start to become muddy and you start to overthink it and you start to relate it to past stories that have happened in your life. And all of a sudden that initial message that came through to you, maybe through your intuition or your spirit had a feeling, you then went into your mind and started to process it. And all of those thoughts that are arising from that processing aren't necessarily true to who you are. Any other questions, comments about mind, body, soul, or the difference between mind and spirit?
So when do you know when you hear your spirit talking, like in your mind, like how your mind's like really clear when it's giving you those negative thoughts, like I don't know if you can do this, but how do you? Yeah.
I believe by resonance. So when you're saying something to yourself and you're telling yourself or believing a limited belief, I can't do that, I don't think I'm able to do that or capable or good enough or smart enough or flexible enough. How does that feel to you? What kind of energy does that feel? What does that feel like when you say that to yourself? When you tell yourself you're not good enough, what does that feel like? Does it make you feel good or does it make you feel limited? It makes you feel limited. When your spirit or your soul arise, it's that positive feeling and intention. No, I can do this. No, I am going to try. No, I'm not going to give up. I am going to do this because my higher self, my spirit, my soul knows that I am capable and I can actually do this. Does that make sense?
So it's kind of like your what people say, your gut instinct or your gut feeling.
Right. Yes. So your gut feeling, we all know that the gut is like a second brain, right? So the gut feeling is like you tapping into your intuition. When you have that gut feeling, it's instantaneous, it's not thought, right? And that's how you really start to develop the skill of your intuition, is when you have a gut reaction about something, you have a feeling, you have a sensation. It's not a thought, it's a feeling. And it's accurate right in that moment, right? That's your spirit talking to you. It's more through a feeling than a thought. You got to be really discerning when the thoughts come through. Where is this coming from? You have to have a knowledge of your story and your history to see where you might be limiting yourself through thought, right? But as far as gut reaction, intuition, that's that immediate download of information that isn't lying to you when you feel something right away, okay? Now with intuition, it might not always be in the lines of something that is positive. You might get an impression about somebody, or you might feel as though somebody's doing something out of alignment, or you might feel something. But that gut feeling, that intuition, is like a download from above that's sharing a nugget of knowledge with you. And then your free will choice is, Do I listen to my gut instinct and my intuition, or do I instead try to talk myself out of it? Do I go into the mind, the mental complex, and start to say, well, I don't know, maybe it was just that, or, they said they didn't feel well today, but your intuition doesn't lie, but there is discernment with your intuition too. So you have to start to really self-study to know, is your intuition, a lot of people will say, how do I know if my intuition is telling me the truth? Like, how do I know? Is it real? Is it not real? Where am I at? Again, by you self-studying and knowing yourself and knowing your truth, you'll know if that intuition is somehow ego-based and somehow there's this underlying manipulative force that you kind of want something out of that intuitive thought. So that's really being able to separate the ego from the heart. When you're in the heart space fully, the intuition that comes through and the information that comes through has nothing at all to do with you benefiting from that. Then you know that's truth. That's truth. You can trust it like that. And when you start to live in that heart space more, you'll have more information come through you that's so organic, and you don't even have to worry if you have to trust it or not, because you're in the space of your heart. You're in that activated heart center. But again, until you're comfortable with shifting out of the ego, or really taking a good hard look at yourself and saying, well, I'm feeling this about this person, because really, like, somewhere down the line you're looking for something out of it, that's ego-based. That's not truth. Okay? What else? There's a very clear difference between the mind and the spirit. Can the mind speak truth? Sure. But 90% of the time, the mind likes to make up a lot of things. So you have to be very clear when something feels in alignment with you. That's a feeling. When you're going into thought, you always have to be aware that there's a possibility that this is coming from somewhere else and it might not be completely accurate. When you feel crappy, when you're feeling limited, when you're feeling small, when you're feeling incapable, something's not true to you. Something's not in alignment with your soul, with your spirituality, with your being. So again, it doesn't have to be so complex. It can be when you're feeling bad about something that's running through your own mind. It's making you feel bad. It's not true. It's not in alignment with your highest self. When something runs through you that feels good and the energy feels light, that's true for you. Right? What else? I think we'll sit and think on that one for a little while.
Yeah.
All right.
And even bringing ego into it. Because it's like mind, body, soul. We talked about mind and the spirit. But then your ego. Because you have your thoughts, but then you have feelings. But feelings could be based on your ego.
Right.
So then it's going another layer deeper.
Yes.
I guess I just thought of like your inner voice and kind of being able to interact with yourself or like speak to yourself, but then your soul is just like way back there, and you have to tune in a different way, I guess.
You do. You have to attune to being in touch more with your spiritual self. Again, we're kind of taught and conditioned to be in the mind and no pain, no gain. I gotta work. I don't have time to feel. I have to keep going. So it does require you guys to like decondition and de-layer the things blocking you from your spirit, from your truth, from your soul, from what feels good. A lot of times we'll do things that feel really terrible because that's what we think we have to do. I have to go here, I have to make money, I have to go to this job that I hate, and I have to be with this person because that's what I'm supposed to do. And then we end up just doing all of these things that really truly don't resonate with us, but we feel like we have to do it because that's what we're taught and that's what we're told. The reality is you don't have to do anything that doesn't feel good for you. And if you're not feeling good, you're not in alignment. And it's up to you to say, I need to take a different perspective about this thing. Can I shift it in a way that I'm not feeling bad about it? We talked a lot about that with you, Lindsay. Or do I just need a physical change? Is this just not suiting me anymore? And do I need to leave the job, shift out of the relationship, or shift locations or whatever to get into a space that feels better for me? Right? So when you're not feeling good, when you're unhappy, when you're miserable, when you're stressed, Your body, your sense body is like a red flag. Something's not right for you. Something's not in alignment for you. Please listen to me. Please listen to me. And then you don't listen because you just you think that that's what you need to do. So you push it back, you push it back, you push it back. Your body keeps telling you, and it gets louder. The calls get louder. You start experiencing physical pain, or you get headaches, or now you're anxious, or now you're depressed because you don't want to do this, but you keep doing it repeatedly because that's what you think you need to do. And then again, your body's going to continue to talk to you if you're not fully addressing the matter at hand. Maybe it resonates into something even more serious, maybe an illness, maybe the migraines turn into something else, and your body is trying to tell you something when you're not happy, when you're not feeling good, when you're anxious, when you're experiencing a negative emotion. Your body is trying to wake you up, to address something. But then that's where the mind can come in and say, well, no, I need to make money, and if I quit my job, I'm really fearful, and I'm 55 years old, and who's going to want me at this job now? And you talk yourself out of literally being happy. Okay?
Mm-hmm. And how do you know the difference between just needing to shift your mindset from a negative situation or feeling or thought and something that you talked about, like mirroring and like needing to learn a lesson from something?
How do you know if you should
like the
stay in a
difference
situation or leave a situation kind of thing?
Or just, this is just something you need to shift from and not like ignore, but just like detach from, and like the difference between that, like detachment of whatever it is, and going into it and like through the pain through whatever it is, and like learning that lesson.
Right. So we talk a lot about the purpose and the pain. So if we constantly immediately felt pain and moved from it, we're also missing experience as well. So this is where I truly believe that a lot of your own free will comes into play. Do you want to stay in a situation that's very challenging for you and try to do the work to process to see if it's worth moving through? Or do you immediately bail? This is where you, again, need to know yourself. Okay, we talked about me having the tendency to be the runner. When something's not comfortable, I'm gonna leave and go somewhere else. See you later, I'm done. I don't always want to sit in that pain if I have a choice to go somewhere else. Alternatively, some people will stay in the pain way too long, and they'll just sit there and say, I don't have another choice. I'm just comfortable here. I have roots here, and I don't even know what would my family think if I made a change. I'm just going to stay here and live my life and be miserable. Those are two extremes. So instead, what you need to do is you need to, when something doesn't feel right for you, number one, be aware of it. Recognize, okay, you know what? It's been like 3 weeks now that I'm not feeling the greatest. I'm stressed, I'm having headaches, I'm not real happy. So at that moment, you gotta first recognize that. Because if you don't recognize that and you think this is how life is, and you go to work and everyone else is complaining and you're complaining, and then you go home and you have your dinner and you watch TV and you go to bed, gotta go to work again, you're all of a sudden on some sort of weird life hamster wheel that I don't want to be on, and I think a lot of people don't want to be on, but unfortunately a lot of people are on. So notice when you don't feel right, sooner than later, hopefully, right? Sometimes something passes in a day or two, but if you're going 1, 2, 3 weeks, months, years into feeling crappy, okay, first thing you need to do is recognize something's not right. I don't know exactly what it is, but I'm just feeling not the greatest. I'm not stoked to be alive. I'm not really excited. I'm not feeling the best physically. My health is going down the tubes. I need to address something here. So that's when, again, you can usually start to go a little deeper and figure out what it is. Usually you know, it's my job. I don't like my job. Or I'm not feeling like I'm on path to my purpose. Or my relationship is really stressful. Like, you'll be able to pinpoint what it is that's bothering you. And then you need to really get very honest and authentic with yourself and say, is this something that I feel like I want to work through? Or truly in my soul, has this been over for years and I've been trying to mask it and go through it and make it better, okay? So again, be honest. Don't just go into your tendency to just say, well, I might as well just stay forever, or don't run. First say, all right, where am I really at? Have I been here for way too long already? Is this my sign to really move on, or do I process more? So let's use a relationship, for example. If you get to that point where you recognize I'm not fully happy and content, it's affecting my life, it's my relationship, it's really challenging and it's really hard. But I still love my partner, okay? There's something still there. So in that case, then you guys together have to decide to go slightly deeper and to process what's happening, okay? Again, a lot of people will just go down that road then that, oh, we've been married 12 years and now we've got 2 kids and this is how it is and this is our life now. Marriages aren't meant to be that way. Partnerships aren't meant to be that way, right? Not meant to be, I posted something the other week that said, marriages are not meant to be a power struggle, they're meant to be a power union. But if you're trying to process something that's upsetting you and it involves another person, you kind of have to make sure that they're on board as well. Or you will be cycling trying to fix a broken relationship, and you'll be taking on all the responsibility onto yourself. And if you don't have somebody who's willing to work it through with you, then what really is the purpose of that? Then you have to kind of sit back and then say to yourself again, I'm trying over and over and I'm expressing to you and you're not on board, and then you have another decision to make. Do you keep trying? Do you keep cycling? Do you hope that sometimes, somehow they get on board? Or do you say the best thing for my personal health in this moment is to take a break from this relationship? Give you time to think about this and to give myself time and to see if we can come back with some mutual respect to try to work through this. And you can obviously see then, if you are processing that even more, if your partner, if you decide to separate and give space, and there's no effort at all being taken by the other party, what is that showing you? It might be showing you that it's time to make a greater split. Now, on the other hand, if the partner is willing and saying, look, I totally agree with you, I'm on board, let's talk about this, let's try to get back on track, then you go in deeper and process. So very basically, you have to use your own judgment in that situation, whether it be work, relationship, your life, your parent, your whatever relationship you're in with whatever it may be. Do you move through it and process it, or do you leave? You have to just get really honest with yourself and ask yourself gently, one question at a time. Do I still like what I do at my job? Yes, I really like what I do, but I think it's more or less my environment. Then take that to the next step. Well, can I shift my perception around my environment at my job? Or is there no way of me shifting the attitudes here, and it just may be better for me to extract myself from this particular environment and do my skill at another job? So you have to be willing to kind of break it down and think about it intelligently and be willing to ask yourself honest questions, and then to just have that trust that you're making the best possible choice for yourself in that moment as you can, and to not go back and regret, okay? So I don't believe that anything is a mistake. So I think that if you make a decision to say, all right, I'm quitting my job, this is no longer good for me, and you put yourself out there and say, for instance, you don't find another job right away, I don't think you should go back into regret at that point, because something was strong enough within you to finally make that decision. This isn't healthy for me. So there is something better out there for you, but it might not drop into your existence immediately. Maybe it shifts. Maybe there's something else that needs to happen before you find that job. Maybe you're in the process of a move and you're going to get a job in Easton as opposed to Allentown. Like, there's things happening, right? So trusting where you're at and just being willing to break it down and answer. Try to be honest with yourself, right? So not giving up right away, not staying if it's really bad for you. That's another thing. What is your tendency? Do you have the tendency when things get hard to just avoid? Or do you have a tendency to stay no matter what, even when it's really, really unhealthy for you? So just starting to know who you are on a deeper, more profound level will help you out with many decisions in your life.